All right, John, go ahead and lead us off.
Hey, Brian, John Scott, good to see you.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm all right.
From watching the film, what stood out most to you from Josh's performance yesterday?
Made good decisions throughout the day. Operated the offense, threw it to the guy he's supposed to throw to most of the day. He is a standard for that position here that, we stress making good decisions and leading the team down to score points. For the most part, he did that. Obviously, there's some plays we'd like to have back and some plays credit the Dolphins did a good job with. So long way to go here still.
Statistically, it was his greatest NFL game from your spot as his offensive coordinator. Where does it rank?
I don't know. I'm not into these rankings here. We're just trying to win one game. The guys, it's not just the quarterback. It's the linemen and the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends. To make a play go, you need good execution. And we executed on some plays, and there's plays that we certainly could have executed better at. But again, said this before. I'm glad he's our quarterback, and grateful to coach him.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach. Dan Fates. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you?
Good. Real simple question. How much fun
have
have
you
you
had? Some Genesee in the back. My grandpa would be proud of that right there.
I appreciate that, man. It's good stuff. Real simple question. How much fun are you having with this offense right now?
It's only fun if you win. So fortunately, we've been able to win 2 games. We don't really care how we win. We try to do things different each week based on who we're playing and execute what we need to execute. Credit to the players and really the assistant coaches who've done a really good job since we've really been back, and also in all the Zoom meetings. But it's 2 games in. We're 2-0. It's better than any of the alternatives. And then we gotta get going here on this next team, who's top 5 team in scoring with some pretty dominant players.
And yesterday, when the Fitz magic kind of got going there, to see Josh drive back down the field, to see the offense, and then what can you say about just the play that Gabriel Davis made yesterday?
Yeah, I'm happy we have Gabriel. It's a credit to the organization and Brandon and Joe and their staff of bringing good guys in that you don't feel uncomfortable playing young players, particularly rookies. We haven't here the last couple of years. He's earned that role. I've talked about that a few weeks ago. The guys that are on the roster that are playing and active are guys we have a lot of confidence in. He's certainly one of them. But there's only one ball, so he didn't get a lot of balls, and the one that he did, that's a player that performed under pressure. It was a really good play by him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, Mike Catalana in Rochester.
Hey, Mike.
Good to see you.
You too.
Okay, you talked about the Rams being good. So now you go into this game, and you know this league a long time. You start putting stuff on tape, and then you have to either adjust and see from what they expect you to do. So where do you find that balance between we're going to do what we do well,
yep,
but they know what's coming to some extent?
Yeah, that's why this league is so hard and challenging. It's a really well thought out question. Each week you go into game plan meetings and you evaluate the personnel that you're up against, and you look for potential issues that they could cause, which there's plenty of them this week. And then you kind of look at what you've done the last few weeks that you've been doing them. And each week's a little bit different, Mike, based on who you're playing. The matchups are different. So certainly the weather could be different sometimes. The schemes are different. What the Rams do isn't necessarily what the Dolphins did, and what the Dolphins did isn't necessarily what the Jets did. So we have quite a few plays in our system, and we have to do a good job as a coaching staff of deciding which plays to run and how we want to run them, and how we want to formation things and who we need to help, or there's a lot of things that go into it. And we just kind of get started Certainly there's adjustments that you need to make on every game. We had to make them, last game as well. It's kind of a chess match that's kind of going on, but credit to players that they do a good job of, and the assistant coaches do a good job of getting those to the guys in game adjustments that we need to make. And that's constantly going to happen throughout the game.
And in your career, has there been a moment, or did you get some advice at some point where you thought maybe you got away from things that you did really well, or you knew you did well because you were so concerned what the other team was going to do, and then you thought later and said, we hurt ourselves in that way? Is that possible to do?
Well, I think that, look, you're always going to try to do things you're good at, but how you balance them and put them together for a game plan, that's always changing week to week. It's not necessarily you just do a bunch of different things. It's sometimes how you do them. And yeah, there's been plenty of mistakes that I've made along the way, that things I'd like to change. But you can only do the best job you can do at the week that you're getting ready to play a game. And they do it too defensively. You might be anticipating one thing that they've shown on tape a bunch, and then they do something completely different that you're expecting, and you better be able to adjust and adapt on the fly. That's why we place such a high premium on smart guys, particularly on our side here.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Chris, hold on, we can't hear you here. Here, Maddie, you can go ahead.
Hey, Dabes.
Hey, Maddie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
How would you evaluate your offensive line play over the first 2 weeks of the season?
I think they're kind of like everybody. We all have things that we need to work on. They're giving good effort. They're trying to meet the standard. That starts at practice. A bunch of unselfish guys that are competing and working hard. That's a position of you got 5-6 guys that are playing here, and the communication processes and working together. Those are important things for any position group, but particularly the offensive line. We have good coaches, and Bobby and Hef and Wendy and good players that work hard to really try to improve. They're always the unsung heroes. Without those guys, those passes don't happen, those runs don't happen, and it's a tough position to coach and a tough position to play. So we're trying to make strides each day with it.
And what went behind moving around the offensive linemen towards the second half of the game yesterday?
Yeah, we feel like we have good players. And the guys that are out there have earned that role to be out there. So, it's not much different than, I know it seems different because it's linemen, but, you have different receivers, different tight ends. And if you have good players, you try to utilize them.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach Daboll, Josh Reed here.
Hey, Josh.
Doing all right? Good. Doing good.
Good.
The Stefon Diggs guy looks like he's going to be pretty decent at wide receiver. Looks like he's got it kind of figured out. How have you seen his kind of chemistry develop? I know it's only been 2 weeks with Josh.
Yeah, I've said this before. I'm glad we have him. He's a competitor, man. He's a good leader, and it's hard to lead when you first get to a spot. But I'll just give you. We have an unselfish group at the wide receiver position. We're going and we're throwing the ball around a little bit here and there, and Smoke gets on the headset with me. He said, "Keep feeding 14." Now that's the type of guys you want to work with. Then we get in at halftime, and Diggs is like, "Hey, we can get Smoke over here, we can get Bees over here," and they're like, "Just let's," they're working together and they're working for one another. And when you have a group of guys, particularly in that room, that are unselfish like that, you like to see that as a coach, because there's one ball, and everybody wants it, rightfully so. But for them to work together like that and kind of have each other's back, it's Diggs, it's Smoke, it's Bees, it's Gabe that's learned from those guys, it's Isaiah, it's Dre when he has to go in and know this stuff. A fun group to work with.
Hey, and kind of to follow up on that a little bit, So Josh in the fourth misses John Brown, or there was some sort of communication, right? Comes right back to him. It hits him on the touchdown. I mean, that's trust right there, right? That you build that kind of trust through 2 seasons together, right?
Yeah. I mean, the more you can throw and see people's body language and work together, whether it's post-practice or the beginning of practice, whenever it may be, in between practices, the routes that you guys get to see when we're working one-on-one routes or routes on air, those are valuable reps, and you have to treat them like that. You know, it's not just you're going out there and throwing the football around. You have to get the details, albeit sometimes it's on air, but the timing and the eyes and the body and the shoulder lean and the stick and when he's going to turn it loose and the angle that he's going to go at. Those are all little tiny details that, you know, we try to work each day. We're certainly have a long way to go with them, but you know, I think Josh has, and I don't want to speak for him, but his confidence in his guys that he throws the ball to, and you know, we have confidence in Josh.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach. Sorry about that snafu earlier. Really nice when we can talk face to face again. Looking forward to that. In any event, wanted to just ask you about your first down success here through the first 2 weeks. I know it's a small sample size, but right now you guys are leading the league in yards per play, up around 7.5. How much do you attribute that to pure execution on the part of your guys that you're lining up every week? I know you're trying to put them in good positions, but they're the guys that are doing the doing, so to speak. Just your thoughts on the first down success and how that's helped you stay on schedule and stay on the field to finish some long drives this year.
Yeah, I'll give the credit to the players. They're out there doing it, and the position coaches that are working with them each day. You know, it's the ultimate team game. But at the end of the day, you know, you're only as good as the execution. And it's our job to give them the tools to go out there and do it. We have to try to do our best to put them in good position. But, you know, credit the players. They're the ones that are, you know, working their tails off at practice and trying to get the details right and communicate with one another, you know, and making tiny little adjustments, you know, communicate with their coaches. I mean, the play that we hit, you know, Stefon early there in the fourth quarter, you know, we made a small little tweak to the play. You know, it was on a Friday, and then we didn't really do it until a Saturday walkthrough. And give credit to the position coaches and the players for, you know, we had it one way, and then we just, you know, we talked about it on a Friday after practice, didn't even really get to practice it the way we did it, but the communication was there on Saturday in a walkthrough to feel confident enough to go ahead and pull the trigger because they were on the same page. It's a fun group to work with, you know, group that knows we got a long way to go here to keep getting better each day and try to meet the standard that we set for ourselves as a position group and as an offense. And certainly there are a lot of things we have to do better.
That's great stuff. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Coach.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. So going back to Josh, from last year to this year, what improvements are you most pleased by? Is it his pocket poise? Is it his read progressions? Is it, I don't know, how much he trusts himself, or just the game slowing down for him? What have you been most pleased by?
But since he's been here, Kimberly, he's improved. You know, he has that kind of that improved mantra every day. You know, I think he has a pretty good grasp of what we're trying to do offensively. There's a lot of trust built up with he and I, and I'd say with him and his assistant coaches and also the players. You know, you take a look at from where he came from to where he is, he's made, you know, incremental improvement each year. And it's so early in the season to say, you know, we've got this down or we've got this down. We all know that there's a long way to go, and we've gotten off to a fairly fast start. But as Mike alluded to, you know, look, it's going to get tougher and tougher each week. You play good teams every week with good coaches, and we have to continue to grow and improve in really our system and all the fundamentals.
Coach, good afternoon. Mookie Hawkins, Westfield Sports 1080.
Hey, Mook, how are you?
I'm good. I mean, seemed like a lot of mesh, a lot of crossing routes was, pretty much that bread and butter because y'all pretty much was dialing it up. Anytime you dialed it up, you had some great success off of that. Even your running backs were, had a better yard per carry yesterday. So, trying to keep a team off balance with balance is, one of the things I always like to say. So how close are you as the OC getting this offense really balanced?
Well, each week presents its own challenge, Mook. I can't answer that. We just, what our goal is to make sure we're on top of who we're playing, the players that we're playing against, what their strengths and weaknesses are, then make sure that we're improving each week. Fundamentally, it's hard. You have one day in pads. You got to make the most of it in pads and all the little things that are required for each position. We do a good job Sean does a good job of structuring practice the way we need to get it. But, it's so early in the season. We played 2 games. That's it. So there's so many different, little details and things that come up throughout games that, maybe you didn't get in practice. Maybe it just showed up in the game. And the next week, if you choose to run the same play or window dress it up, however you want to window dress it up, that you take the corrections that, were from 1 week and it might be from week 1 to week 6. And that's why these days right here are so important for the players and the coaches, is to make sure we correct the things that we didn't do right, so that the next time it comes up, when we get the same situation, we're ready to nail it.
Absolutely. Speaking of that situation, you got, pretty much the defensive player icon and Aaron Donald. And we know that, this game is won up front. So, what are your plans, up front this week?
Maybe you can miss the bus. I just started. We just kind of put this game to bed that we just played, and started to watch his first 2 games. Look, he's as premier of a lineman as I've seen. He's disruptive force. He's got power. He's got strength. He's got speed. He's got quickness. He's got leverage. He's got a motor. He plays intelligently. There's just plays on tape where you watch him and you're like, oh boy, he's hard to get to. He can play multiple spots. And they have a lot of other good players too, and then you got a corner like Jalen, who's a premier position at his player too. They're tough. That's why they're only giving up, 18 points or whatever it is in the early parts of the season against some good offenses. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. They're good.
Yeah, that guy, he's 6 foot, 6'1", so he already has that advantage. We know low man wins in football, and he know how to use that leverage quite well. So I know you guys have got a tough task ahead of you up front, and I know you'll get the job done. So good luck this week, Coach.
Thanks, Mook. Take care.
Yes, sir.
All set, Coach. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.